Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube, and Patreon. This is episode 22, and we are in September on the 24th. It's a Monday. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. So it's been almost 3 weeks. It's been 20 days since my last confession. A lot has gone on. I'm going to talk about life at the end, though. We are in the park again today because it is just a gorgeous day. I will definitely be throwing some pictures on Instagram later. Now, this isn't turning yet, but all over here is golden instead of green, which is super beautiful. Let's get into podcasting things, shall we? So first of all, I'm here this morning at the park because I took some pattern pictures, so hopefully I'll be getting... There's one pattern that has literally just been waiting for pictures for like a year and a half. So test knitters, you might know about the mitts, the tick mitts that go with the Talk socks. I'm hoping to release that later this week. We'll see how life goes though, because life has been throwing me so many curveballs this month. But I'm hopeful. And then I also took pictures of this hat. I'm waiting to hear back from a couple testers, and then this will be released. This is the hat that I wanted to show you last week, the second version of the stripe hat that I did with Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn. Not last week, last episode. So that's, there's photographs of that. I took photographs of these stripy socks, so I will be getting in touch with test knitters this week for sure, even if I just have to send you the very rough draft ever. Yes. What else? There is a knit along going on in the Ravelry group. It is called Deja Vu, and it is knitting, crocheting, anything that you've already made before. So this hat would count because this is the second version of this hat. If you are doing modular projects, if you do 4 small things, so 4 squares or 4 hexagons or puffs or whatever, those count, but you have to do 4 to count because they're so small. And then the other thing that I have been super lax about, I am sorry, I meant to say it last episode, is that I drew for the first quarter of prizes for Patreon. So if you're a viewer and you've been here for a while, thank you for being awesome. If you're new, thank you for checking it out. This is my normal right now, basically, is kind of rambly, and I'm really enjoying the park recording. Hopefully I'll get another couple of episodes like that in before I'm stuck inside for the winter. What else? If you enjoy what you see, make sure to click the subscribe button, hit like, hit the little bell so that you get notified when I post, because it's not very regular right now. And if you are able, come check me out on Patreon and maybe help support the podcast over there. Money that is given to Patreon goes directly back into the podcast, sending out prizes, and eventually I would like a nice laptop with good editing software so that I can record more regularly. And yeah, that's what Patreon is. Go check it out. I'm not very good at selling myself. It's a thing I'm working on. But anyway, the first quarterly prize, I don't think I've said, goes to Haley, Hales Knits. Get in touch with me. Let me know if you want the Even Star, the Conpeto shawl, or the Painted Tiger hand spun, or if you want something else, we'll work out with it. It's migration season here. Got the geese flying. The ducks are still in this pond over here. Motion sickness warning. I'm gonna show you the park just really quick. So I am sitting right next to this beautiful little pond, and there are all the ducks. And then going back the other way, here, all the trees, can you see how they're golding out over there a little bit? so beautiful. I love fall, and I love fall, particularly in Michigan. I just love the pace that everything turns. There's a little red tree over there. It's beautiful. So many colors, so much. If I were a dyer, the only time that I really think that I want to be a dyer is in fall, because I'm just like, oh, all the colors, all the inspiration, but that requires a lot of setup. So that's not a thing right now. Anyway, sorry, I clapped. Oh my gosh, I just did a Josh and clapped on the podcast. Let's talk about what I've been working on in the past 3 weeks. It has been a lot. I am not going to go in any particular order because they're in 2 project bags, and I'm just going to pull out what is on top. So first of all, I'm going to do modular check-in, apparently. And this is one of the pieces that I'm checking in with. Let's see if I have the other. Yeah, it's right here. So I am checking in with you on the bias strip blanket. So I have finished the second strip, which is this one right here. This is where I was last time you saw it, a couple months ago, 3 months ago, 4, who knows. So I've added on all of these colors, and I don't like piecing everything all at once because it becomes a chore and I don't like it. So I'm going to add the strips on as they're ready, because how beautiful and exciting is this? I am super excited. This ball is just hanging here because I was maybe going to use it at the end of this strip and I didn't end up using it. I finished before then. Oh, I have a little needle hanging out there, no reason. So yes, this is the first 2 strips, and here is the third. And the third I'm going to do a little differently. The way that I was doing it is that I was doing sections. That's the back. No, that's the front. Okay. I was doing these little stripes in sections of 5, so 5, 10, 15. I think at one point I may have done 20 rows. But I'm doing it differently for the third stripe because I have a lot of self-striping leftovers that I want to go into this blanket, and I kind of want a full stripe repeat. So that's what I'm doing here. I have this lovely rainbow mini that's a hot mess down here in the bag, so I'm not going to pull it out. But I'm going to do the full rainbow and then start the next color on this strip, the next colorway. So I'm very much enjoying this this blanket, and I have to admit that most of the knitting on that strip over here was done in the past 3 weeks. I've been feeling very into the modular knitting, and I don't know, because it's been very simple and life has been hectic. So it's really easy. It's just knitting a strip on the bias, which means that's not the part that I did. Let's see, where did I do? I don't even know. Whatever. It's really easy. So I didn't use a pattern. I saw a project on Ravelry that used this idea for leftovers. Not anything about how thick or wide the stripes were, but just using leftovers to make strips to then put together to make a blanket on the bias. Is it gonna rain? It might rain. We'll be okay. We'll record until it rains. If there's an abrupt stop, sorry. But there was no instructions. So what I did was I had 1 stitch, I made 3 stitches into it and then knit back across, and then did an increase on either side to make 5, and then knit back across on the other row. And so the back is all just rest rows, and then I increased to 35, and then I did an increase on one side and a decrease on the other to bias it. And that's how I made these strips. And I am super excited. This is my lowest priority blanket though, because I'm only using leftover or scrappy bits that I really, really like. Sometimes I have mini skeins that I'm like, it's okay, but I don't love it. So those sorts of things are not going in this blanket. And if it takes me 15 years to finish this one, I'm totally fine with it, because I know that I'm going to absolutely love it. Okay, what do we have up next? The Big Snowy Owl, which is a free pattern by Pearl Soho. And I don't have a ball band with me, my ball fell apart last night because my dog jumped on the project, and there's all sorts of dog fur on there. Doesn't matter. It's gonna live in a dog house, so she's going to lay on it all the time. Anyway, the pattern is Free by Pearl Soho. I am not using yarn or needles recommended. This is thinner than what is called for, and I think they call for size 15s. I have 11s because that works for the gauge. I'm not very far into it. I just have the butt basically and 2 rounds onto the body. But I also had to increase the stitch size, which I did just by increasing in increments of 12 to make sure that the pattern would still work out. It's not very exciting, but it is started, and it's something that I want to get finished this month. It will go really quickly once I actually work on it. I only have a fuzzy on my mouth. I only have a week left in the month, so I really need to get working on my 4. I had 6 goal projects. I didn't bring my finished objects. How frustrating. You know why? Because they're in a bag that Mara likes to take for reference for drawing. And I thought I had put them with my stuff, but she must have it in her room. Let me talk about finished objects really quick since I don't have them. I finished Gabriel's Christmas socks, which I knit in a tube using Premier Serenity sock that we dyed together. It was just a cream or a white. We dyed that together, and then I had some Premier Serenity sock in charcoal. So I did the cuffs in charcoal, or 1 cuff in charcoal, knit all the way through the yarn that we dyed together. I knit a toe, and then I split the tube into 2 equal lengths of sock, and on the tube that already had the cuff, I did the toe. And then on the other sock, I actually cast on the cuff from the top because I really prefer the stretch of my cast on for socks versus my bind off. So I cast on, and then I knit down the cuff, and then I Kitchenered it on to the tube. So that worked out really well. I'll try to remember to bring my finished objects next week to show you. And then my other finished object, I don't think I had even started last week, was the, there's so many people, I'm sorry, I'm distracted. Can you let me know? Because other podcasters apologize all the time for not looking at the camera or looking at themselves on the screen. And I know that I look away a lot because it's awkward to just look in one spot for a very long time. I look away a lot, and I also look at myself on the screen a lot just because then I'm actually talking to something instead of just a little pinprick on the front of my phone. Does that actually bother you? Because I know it doesn't bother me, but a lot of podcasters apologize for it, and I personally don't find it to be a problem. But if you find it to be a problem, I will make a conscious effort to actually look at the camera instead of wandering off with my eyes or looking at the screen. Let me know. Let me know below or on Ravelry. I'm sure that Allison will open a thread because she's really good at that, and I'm really not good at that right now. I used to be so good about all that Ravelry stuff. Anyway, we were talking about something. Farron Woods. The Farron Woods hat, it's a pattern by Jack Beck. It starts off with a fisherman's ribbing. It's a paid for pattern, but I do want to talk about that because I, previous to this pattern, had never done a fisherman's rib, and it's actually really nice and really squishy. I really like how it works out. My foot is falling asleep. I need to do something about that. That's really awkward. What else about Farron Woods? I used some yarn that my dad got me from a local to him alpaca farm, which means it's still pretty local to me. I could drive there in an hour. They were having a wool sale, a barn sale. I don't remember what they called it, but he thought they were going to be selling equipment and stuff, and they were actually selling fiber and wool. And he stopped there on the way to my son's birthday party. So he picked it up for me, and so I made a hat out of that. It used less than half a skein. There's a duck getting really frisky. Hi. Anyway, let's look at this duck because it's highly distracting. What are you doing? Just coming to say hi? I don't know if you could actually see it since I can't see what I'm pointing at. So the Farron Woods, I knit it out of a worsted weight yarn. I went down in the stitch count a lot because I'm a loose knitter, and the pattern's written for DK instead of worsted, but I just went down a whole bunch of stitches. I just took it out of, there's a panel, a designed panel, and then the rest is stockinette. So I just took those stitches out of the stockinette. I really like that for panel items. You can just add or remove stitches from the regular stockinette portion. Now there's 3 of them. How am I going to get through recording without looking at them all the time? I'm not going to apologize though, because nature is awesome. Oh, those are my keys falling. Sorry. What else about that hat? It is a really nice, quick knit. There are cables that are at different times, but it all makes sense. It's very memorizable. And the second time around, so this would have counted for Deja Vu if I were eligible for my own prizes. The second time around, I only had to look at the patterning one time, and I could just go from there. The other thing that I started, I have been working on spinning the carnival bears. There's like 7 of them now. So if you see me get attacked by ducks, like that could be a thing. I'm sure they're not going to attack me. They're just not afraid of humans. So they have, I have been working on carnival bears, but not enough to show you. I really want to get the single of the first 4 ounces spun this month, which would be doable if I actually did significant spinning on it every day, but I'm not. So I need to work on that. I cast on Mara's pair of Christmas socks after I finished Gabriel's because I needed something that was simple, that was mindless. We're going to the movies next weekend, so I'll probably take this because I won't have to think about it. I can just work on it while we're there. Because everything else that I have cast on right now has patterning or something that I have to pay attention to. So this is yarn that we dyed together. And as you can see, one end is a lot more white than the other. So I think what I'm going to do is once I get to kind of a foot length, before I start the ribbing, I'm going to cut the yarn, switch the strands so that the other side will have a more white leg, just to even it out so they match a little bit better. Knitting those on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I have, my hair gets in everything. It just does. So yeah, it's just, this doesn't have a deadline except Christmas, but I'm not that worried about it because I'm gonna make a lot of progress at the movies for sure. We're gonna watch My Neighbor Totoro, which is my favorite Studio Ghibli movie. Studio Ghibli, however you want to pronounce it. I'm sure there's a correct way. I'm always going to say Ghibli unless I'm thinking about it. It's my favorite, and it's my sister's favorite, and we're going to it the day after her birthday. So when they set up Ghibli Fest, they clearly set it up so that we could watch our favorite movie the day after her birthday. Thank you for that, the movie setup people. Oh, I have some stitches popping off. So I am knitting another Deja Vu pattern. This is going to be a tritine hat, which is my design, and per usual it has, you know, dog fur on it. Okay, so there is a panel with cables running up it. Can you see? Yes, you can see the cables. the lighting was so nice, and now all these clouds have rolled in. That's what happens with nature. Gotta let it do its thing. And then, so it's got a panel with cables and texture, and then this texture around the body. It's super simple. I find the pattern easy to memorize. I don't know if other people would. This is also the third or fourth one that I've knit, so that helps. I am knitting Tashmo Light. I don't know the colorway name off the top of my head. And I am not as sensitive to mohair as I am to cashmere, but I'm definitely sensitive to it. I can only knit a couple rounds on this, and then I have to put it down because my hand starts to itch. I hope I can wear it when it's finished. We'll see. If not, I will give it away to someone who wants it. I did make a change to the pattern for just this hat. I did a double brim. It's knit garter stitch. The brim is garter stitch in the actual pattern, but I did a stockinette band in a different color, in a different yarn, that is just merino nylon on the part that will be touching my forehead. So hopefully that will be enough to make it wearable. This duck though, it's just all up in my business. What are you, do you want to come podcast? You can jump up here, I'll let you. So yeah, that's the Tritine hat, and I am into the second repeat of, the pattern says 5. I might change the pattern to say 4. So part of the reason why I want to knit this hat again is because I really like the hat, and I don't have, I gave away the sample, which is fine, but I gave it to someone who would wear it more than I did, and now I kind of want one to wear because I am definitely a hat person. I've been wearing hats every day that it's in the 60s or lower because my ears are really sensitive. If they get cold, then it's just a mess. I have ENT problems, so I wear a lot of hats. I would like to have this one, and also I would like to re-release the pattern with better pictures, with charts, not just written. So I want to do another sample, which is what's going on, obviously. So hopefully this will be finished by the next time I record. It goes really fast, again, if you actually work on it, but I haven't been working on much knitting at all. Okay, I think that's everything that I brought to show you. Let me check my list. Yes. So let's talk about life stuff, because life has been crazy the past month. So I saw you on the first day of school. School has been going great. My kids love their teachers. I know I posted on Instagram that Gabriel was like, I don't have any friends, woe is me. And then he made new friends, and he's having a great time. Mara's doing brilliantly. They have this behavior system where they clip up if they do well, or clip down if they do poorly. Everybody starts at a neutral, and Mara has clipped up more than half of the days that they've been in school. I would say more like 75% of the days. So that's really exciting. And Gabriel has clipped up a few times. It's a lot harder once you're older to clip up. So yeah, that's really good. And Gabriel's class has been doing so well that they got an extra day of gym already. They have to earn it by earning like reward points or whatever. So they had an extra gym session, which he was super excited about last week. You're very pretty. I want to be this duck's friend, but I also want this duck to fly away for the winter so that it doesn't freeze to death. So I have to not be its friend. What else happened? So that whole first week of school though was really bad for me, like mental health wise. I was really stressed because other things were going on. It wasn't just school. It was the culmination of everything that's happening. My sister moved out over the summer, and my boyfriend moved in after the first week of school. So that's a big change. That's a huge change. So like figuring all that out and just coming back from camping, it was too much for me, for my brain to process and handle. So unfortunately, when I was a lot younger, I had anorexia, not bad enough to be hospitalized, not bad enough to go to counseling. My parents didn't even really realize, but when I get super stressed out, I revert to those horrible habits. So the first full week of September, I was eating like 300 calories a day, which is not good, which if you're restricting your body like that, I urge you to seek help. Yeah, so that was really, really bad. And then the following week, I was eating better, but my body crashed because I had been starving it, which is bad. And you gonna come here? What are you doing? My boyfriend is standing there, and that's making me really feel awkward because I don't like when people watch me when I'm recording. I'm gonna be recording for like 5 more minutes if you want to walk some more, or you can just stand there and make me feel awkward. That's cool. Standing there and making me feel awkward, that's the choice, I think. Anyway, so yeah, that was really bad, and we were unpacking and rearranging the house and figuring all that out, which was again stressful, but at least I was eating, so I was getting a little better. And then the ultra not fun consequence was that when so too much information, I guess, but I don't think it's too much information, and if you feel that way, I apologize for offending you. Last week I had my period, and it was really, really bad. Like, all of my symptoms were magnified because I hadn't been taking care of my body. So yeah, the last 3 weeks just have been not a good place mentally and then physically. Now I feel much better, which is why I'm back recording, but it was a lot. Hopefully the rest of September goes smoothly and October is better and I get back to recording. I have a computer now that I need to see if I can set up and get working, and then if I can, I'm going to try to do Vlogtober, but I can't commit to that because I'm not sure if I'll be able to make that work, but maybe we can do that. And if not, if I can't do it on the computer, I will definitely be hitting Instagram stories every single day in October. So I'll take part of Vlogtober that way if I can't do it on YouTube. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's bunniphish. Go find me on Patreon, YouTube, Ravelry, bunniphish, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.